Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We're so glad all of you all are here tonight. It's always nice to have lots of people in the room. It makes it much more rewarding for all of us, for all of you to be here, so thank you so much. Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Present.
Ms. Quetch. Here. Mr. Webb.
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here.
And Mayor Pillion.
Here. Okay, and Vice Mayor Dwayne Anderson is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now I would like to welcome Tyler Vinsel, who's going to begin our meeting with a prayer.
Thank you, Mayor and Honorable Council. It's my honor to be here. It's good to see you all. And I thank you so much for this opportunity for Highlands Fellowship to be a part of the community and to be able to be here in this way. And I appreciate this opportunity very much. And so let's go to the Lord. God, we thank you so much for who you are and what you do and what you've done for us. And God, you've placed us in this time, in this community for a reason. You have purpose for our life. And you have a purpose with this government and this council, God, and the staff of the town. And pray, God, as they go through each day and as they are faced with decisions to enrich the lives of the citizens of the town and to look forward to the future of our town and to the next generation of citizens of this town, that they be clear-minded in their decision-making, that you would give them the best and most available opportunity to learn all the information that they need to make the best decisions possible. And we thank you so much. Pray that you bless them and bless their lives, because this is not an easy job. And God, we just thank you for the opportunity to live in this country and be a part of your kingdom here on earth. And we thank you so much in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Tyler.
Okay, now we have the agenda for tonight. It has been amended, but I think we've all had the chance to see that. And I will entertain a motion for the agenda to be approved.
I'll put that in motion.
Do we have a second?
Second. You can have this.
He can have it? Okay. We'll get the next one. So we have a motion to approve the agenda by Vice Mayor Anderson and a second by Mr. Austin. And do we have any discussion? If there is no discussion, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch. Aye. Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. Okay, so now we have public comments, and we have several people signed up to speak tonight. I'm going to remind you that you get 3 minutes. There will be a timer. There's a warning at 30 seconds, or at 1 minute.
1 minute.
There's a warning at 1 minute. So we ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes, please. And I'd like to welcome the first person on the list, who is Ms. Martha Keys. And then please state your name and your address for the record.
Good evening. I am Martha Keys, 269 Mason Place, Abingdon. And I'm here to speak on the possible painting over of the mural on the side of the old drugstore building, as I call it. And I want to tell you a story why I think it should not be painted over. When Ellen was commissioned to do this, she came to the Historical Society, of which I used to be president, and now I'm just a board member. She came to the Historical Society to research things, and she solicited stories from folks that were from here, you know. So I was born here, lived here, moved away, came back. But I've always been really proud of being from Abingdon and how lucky I was to be born here in this town, as opposed to some other places I could have wound up. So I told her my story, and I'm going to tell you my story. My dad worked for the post office for most of his whole life. And he was required to have a post office box, so we went to the post office every day. So I would go with him when I could. Now, I'm referring to the old post office, and Is there anybody on the board and on the council that remembers the old post office
Yes,
building?
ma'am, I do.
You do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you know what a magnificent old structure it
Yes,
was.
ma'am.
Do you remember the steps with those beautiful polished pink granite banisters or whatever you call it on the side?
You're making yourself older than you are.
There you go.
That's all right. It's glad to be in good company here. Anyway, so Dad would lift me up, put me on those, and they were flat at the bottom. They came down and then they flattened out so you couldn't fall off. And I would slide down them. Now that seems like maybe a very small memory, but to a little girl with her dad, that was a really good memory. And I still have it. And I told this to Ellen, and she put me on the mural. So if you look at the picture closely on the old post office, you will see a little girl sitting up on the banister, and that's me. So my plea is, please don't paint me over. Don't take my memories away. Thank you.
Okay, and the next person signed up to speak are Ellen and Don Elms. I said person, I meant people.
May I ask, because we're representing a group, do we have 5 minutes? Because there's 2 of us.
Yes.
to- and a
Yes.
group. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Mayor Pillion and Abingdon Town Council members, thank you for this opportunity to bring an important concern to your attention. As you know from the address I have written here, my husband Don and I are not residents of Abingdon. However, I am the artist who designed and painted, along with the help of Don and several other Abingdon artists, the Abington murals celebrate a social history of Abingdon. I am speaking as a spokesperson tonight for a citizens group of Abingdon and Washington County residents. Many of them are here tonight in support of the mural's preservation and safekeeping. Our group members, and I'm going to ask them to stand briefly. Thank you. Represent a cross-section of this concerned local community, including a successful Abingdon business and commercial property owner, founders of the Cave House Craft Shop, which continues today as the Holston Mountain Craft Shop, founders and resident artists of the Arts Depot, a writer, publisher, local historian, and Washington County Historical Society volunteer, a healthcare administrator, community college professors, current and retired, a past director of Abingdon Main Street, a major local arts supporter and benefactor of the William King Center when it was first established, and a former artistic director of the Barter Theater.
As you travel east on Main Street and approach the historical district in Abingdon, the first thing you will see on the left is a mural with giant, beautiful banners flowing in the breeze, welcoming you to this historical town. If you stop and look more closely, you'll realize the banners flow over a map of the entire region, with symbols denoting historical aspects of the surrounding area. If you look more closely still at the different banners, you'll see that each banner is crammed full of historical facts about and cultural aspects of this dynamic community. Anyone wanting a 10-minute history lesson with great visual effects about this town will find it here. We're here tonight because of learning recently that there is a buyer of the Main Street building on which the mural is painted, who has inquired with the town about the possibility of painting over the mural once they obtain ownership. The mural was commissioned in 2013 by the town of Abingdon under the supervision of Abingdon Main Street, was funded by the town of Abingdon, the Virginia Commission for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, and local businesses, organizations, and residents.
We acknowledge and understand that the town of Abingdon may not have any legal recourse at this point in time to prevent a new owner from painting over the mural. However, we want any potential new owner, whether now or in the future, to realize the irreversible loss of art, history, and community heritage and pride that will be the sad consequence of such an action. Therefore, we are appealing to you to review what you have been handed to tonight and consider the draft resolution we've presented to you tonight, and if agreeable, adopt such a resolution in the immediate future. The resolution points out the significance of the mural's visual stories, including the historical sites or buildings that still exist and engage visitors today, as well as the names of notable people of the past. And you met one of them tonight. Martha Keyes talked to you about her experience. Many of whom have living descendants who are proud to have their heritage being honored in the mural. Also, the resolution references the tourism draw the mural affords the town. As stated at the end of the resolution, your adoption of such will resolve to your constituents that you still uphold your interest in preserving and maintaining the mural's existence on the Main Street building, and that you strongly urge current and future owners of said building to cooperate with and respect this resolution for the safe keeping of the mural.
Finally, Ellen has painted over 35 murals since 1980 in West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Florida, and even one in Scotland. And we are not aware of a single one of her public artworks being painted over because of the preferences of a private owner. Thank you for your consideration of our concern and of the resolution.
We have one more speaker on our list, Mr. Ed Morgan.
Thank you. This is only the second time in 6 years that I've been here to council, and I think that says, is a statement on my part that you're doing a good job and don't need a whole lot of input from me. But I am here tonight to support the resolution that Mayor Pillion has put out for consideration. I would note that when I sat in that chair, and I would frequently look at the town seal that was there behind me, and I often referred in public speeches and so forth to the town motto, honor pro antiques, fides pro futuris. We honor the past and we have faith and optimism for the future. It's a pretty good motto for a town like ours. I was very disappointed to hear that someone has considered purchasing the property, painting over the mural. The fact that they would consider that to be some sort of a liability rather than the real asset that it is both to our town and to a business was very astonishing, that a long-term resident would even look at that. I think there ought to be a way to work through this. There's a couple of things that came to my mind, and I mentioned it to two council members tonight, one of which is that the town enter into a contract with that individual, a long-term arrangement that Mr. Bell could work out where it would be leased. Basically that space would be leased to the town, and the town would take responsibility for the annual maintenance that needs to occur on that mural, the painting of the protective cover and so forth. So the owner of the property would not have that responsibility. It would protect it and keep it safe and take away the potential burden that individual might have. I'm optimistic that it ought to be possible to negotiate this. I encourage you to adopt the resolution that's been presented and to make a strong public statement that we do honor our past, and our past is very much part of what makes this place a good place to live and is what our future is built on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anybody else who would like to speak during public comment but did not sign up?
There's somebody back there.
Is that? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Ardeen Barr. I live at 119 Campbell Street. I'm the proprietor of Abingdon's longest-running independently funded art gallery. Being an artist myself, any removal of public art I find to be an affront to all artists in town. This mural has been well-received over the years, and I think it should continue to be well-received. I would appreciate any consideration that this august body can give in the perpetuation of this mural. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, now we will move forward in our agenda to the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from our February 1st, 2023 retreat, minutes from our February 6th meeting, and our February 23rd mid-month meeting. I understand that we can approve these as a body, or we can approve them separately. So I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I was not present at the February 6th meeting, so I would need to abstain from those. So if you want to take them separately, we can do it, or we can note my abstention just to that portion.
This
Okay. Okay. So do I have a motion? We'll just do them separately very quickly. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our retreat on February 1st?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
It's a motion by Ms. Quetch, second by Vice Mayor Anderson. Any discussion? Kim, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quest?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. Now I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the February 6th, 2023 minutes.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So, the motion was, presented by Mr. Webb, seconded by Mr. Anderson. Kim, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
I would abstain as not being present at that meeting.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. And now finally, the minutes from our February 23rd mid-month meeting.
Move approval.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Austin, a second by Vice Mayor Anderson. Do we have any discussion? Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. Okay, moving on to proclamations, of which we have none. We do have a public hearing. The public hearing is to discuss the construction of a sidewalk addition within the existing right-of-way along the north side of East Main Street from an existing sidewalk at the Dollar General store to an existing concrete entrance gutter near St. John's Lutheran Church for a length of approximately 345 feet. The funding for this project was secured through VDOT using the Highway Safety Improvement Program. Does anybody need to speak about this? I see Mr. Surratt nodding his head. Does anybody, no one has signed up to speak for the public hearing?
I'll speak.
You need to open the public hearing.
I need to open the public hearing. Okay, well, I open the public hearing. Would you like to speak?
Yes. I hadn't planned to come and I hadn't planned to speak on this. I didn't realize it was on the agenda. Please approve it. It is desperately needed. It's one of those things that I was on council when we widened, when the bridge was built and we widened to 3 lanes, that section of the street through that area. And it was a real shortcoming on the part of our council that we didn't value the sidewalk at that time and put it in. It's a very dangerous place. You see people walking there and they basically have to be in the road. It's quite unsafe, and I hope that you'll take care of this, and and extend it further along the line there, because there's a great danger and a lot of pedestrians that will be heading for that dollar store, and it's not safe now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we do not vote on a public hearing.
You need to close the public hearing, but you may want to ask Mr. Surratt to come up and.
Mr.
tell them what we're
Surratt,
talking
do you have anything to add?
Unless everybody wants to speak, ma'am, we're good.
Okay, then I will close the public hearing. We have
And
no,
so, sorry,
That's okay.
the reason that we did that, Mike, was for VDOT purposes, we need to have a public hearing and have the people
Yes, sir.
know that that was about, so that's
Yes, sir.
the first, one of the steps in the process, and now that we've passed that process, we can move forward to others.
okay,
Got it.
wonderful. Okay, we have no resolutions. We have no first reading of ordinances or second reading of ordinances. We do have some bids to consider tonight. The first one is a consideration of a bid from the American Ramp Company for the design and the construction of the skills track at the Meadows for $232,000 and $232,570.71. And I will welcome Tanya Triplett, our Director of Economic Development and Tourism, to discuss this project.
Thank you very much. We came to you a few months ago, and you guys approved a contract for, with the American Bike Ramp Company for the pump track, which we raised all of the money for. So it's my understanding that you are graciously willing to fund the rest of that project. And this would be the dirt skills track around that pump track with all of the jumps and ramps. So we would buy those pieces from the American Bike Ramp Company. They would come and install this for the $232,000. So our contract just says that it will start now, start in April, and the track has to be completed by November of 2023.
Oh, that's quick. That's wonderful.
We pressed them on it.
You pressed them?
Yeah, we pressed them.
Moved them
Just a little
along?
bit.
Okay, so we need to vote to accept this bid, correct? Do we have any discussion? Any questions for Ms. Triplett?
Where's the money coming from other than just out of the general coffers?
That was my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, it's contingency money.
Oh, in the council contingency fund, okay.
Well, Tanya, I just want to quickly say that, thank you for your hard work. I was serving as the mayor, of course, at the time when this was kind of conceived, and there was just a overwhelming amount of support. We had people come to town from Kingsport just to talk about the need and the excitement for the pump track. So I just want to say thank you for your hard work and making that come to fruition. It's going to be a fantastic improvement to the already fantastic sports complex in Creeper Trail.
Well, in the words of Jack Barrow, it takes a village, so thank you guys for, immediately I had to stop and start looking for funding. So I was continuing to look for funding to do this project, but I thought, well, if we go ahead and get the pump track built, it might help us with sponsorships. So I certainly appreciate you all saving me some time of having to look for funding for the rest of this.
We are
Thank
very
you.
pleased that it's gonna move forward so quickly.
I think it'll be a great asset for the town.
Mhm.
Really do. Thank you all again.
Thank you. So we need to vote on the accepting of the bid. Do I have a motion to accept this bid?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
You beat me to it, sorry.
So we have a motion by Ms. Quetch, a second by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion? Kim, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion?
Aye. Okay, now we have consideration of a contract for wayfinding signage allocated through the capital improvement plan with Frazier Associates for $50,000. And Mayana Rice is already ready to go, our Assistant Town Manager and Director of Community Development.
Well, I've seen most of you all already today, but nice to see you all today. So last year, we worked through our CIP budget, and at that time, we collectively, as staff, said one of the things we really thought was important was wayfinding signage. And if you come into any of our intersections in town, you'll see that we have a lot of sign clutter, which can be distracting for drivers. We have You know, we don't have those kind of really cool signs that say, you know, this direction to this tourist amenity or that direction to one of our parks and recreation facilities. And so we asked and were approved for $50,000 to get the project started. It will be a multi-year project. So the $50,000 was approved for a consultant to do the planning part. So in the last few months, we put out an RFP, and we had 5 companies apply from all over the country, honestly. We interviewed 2 of the more local companies, and we made a final choice. So my request tonight is that town council make a motion allowing the town manager to enter into an agreement with Fraser Associates in the amount of $50,000 for the length of the project. And they're hoping, they told us that it would be a 6-month project, so we're kind of excited about that. They're gonna come to town and visit and set up a group to look at, you know, where the signs should go, what colors they should be, all of that. And we had a really good interview with them. They were just very personable, and that was probably our #1 reason for wanting them to come here. So if there's any questions, I can try to answer them.
I think it sounds wonderful. I've seen this in other towns, and it just adds to the charm, along with the ability to find all of the wonderful things we have to show off.
It does, and our town manager does a lot of traveling, and when he goes places, he'll take photos of other places, and he'll say, this is what I'm talking about, this is the kind of signage we want, and so we're really excited. And you know, I think even some of our entrance signage, where it is, that's not exactly where the town boundary is. So there's a lot of real technical things, and then there's kind of the more fun excitement of the colors and choosing all that. So we'll be looking for people to sit on a committee to make those decisions.
Wonderful. Do we have any questions? Then I would entertain a motion to enter into this contract.
I'd make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion as well.
Okay, so a motion by Mr. Webb, a second by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. Okay, so we have some new business to discuss. It is the consideration of disposing of personal property, specifically a compost mixer, to the town of Marion, Virginia for $8,500. And Mayana Rice is going to speak to us about this.
So, I think it was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, that the town ended the composting program. So for a long time, we would take in brush and all of those things, and we went through a composting process. We are no longer using that piece of equipment. So we were approached by the town of Marion and asked if they could purchase that piece of equipment. It is currently at our wastewater treatment plant. So what we did is we had the town of Marion come and visit, take a look at the piece of equipment. We also did a research of how much that piece of equipment, a used piece, could go for, and we found anywhere between $3,200 and $12,000. So they offered the town $8,500. And so based on the age and the quality of our equipment, plus looking at other pieces of equipment, we determined that that's a fair value for it. So we worked with CAM to determine that this is not a surplus, but this can be a direct sale. And that comes from section 15.2-951 that says localities for the purpose of exercising any of their powers and duties and performing any of their functions may acquire by gift, bequest, purchase, lease, or installment purchase contract, and may own and make use of any, may grant security interest in, sell, and otherwise dispose of within and outside the localities personal property, including any interest, right, or estate therein. And so that gives you all the permission to essentially make a motion tonight that allows the sale of this compost mixer as personal property to the town of Marion in the amount of $8,500.
And I think technically this is something that the town manager probably could have done directly, but we took it to council just so everybody knew what was going on.
Thank you for that. Thank you for keeping us updated. Thank you very much, Mayana.
Do we have any questions for Mayana? If there are no questions, then I would entertain a motion to go forward with this sale.
Make a motion, we sell the compost mixer to the town of Marion for $8,500.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we had a motion put forth by Mr. Austin, and a second by Mr. Webb. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Billion.
Aye. So we have no old business to discuss. And next on the agenda is miscellaneous business and communications from our town manager.
So tonight, I don't really have a huge report, other than to say the past couple of months, I've been working very hard on next year's budget proposal. And I can tell you this, we have a great staff and a very, very accommodating council as well. But yeah, it's been great, because we really have, I mean, professionals, they come in, they know what they're doing, they tell us what they want, and I'm really pleased. So that, and we didn't get any snow this year either, so. Other than that, and Mike's excited because we have lots of salt left over. So, anyway, I don't know anything else.
That could come back and bite us next year. You just never know. Okay, and now we have council member reports. Does anybody on council have anything to let us know about?
I would report that Mr. Anderson and I had the pleasure of attending the Veterans Advisory Board meeting on Monday night, March 20th. Their plans continue for a very nice Memorial weekend. There will be some dedication of some additional trees in the park, and they discussed a number of things at that time, but it seems like that's moving along very nicely, and so we look forward to continuing with that and to support that. It's been a busy week. Tuesday night, March 21st, I had the privilege of attending the Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee. And as most of you know, they're required to report to council one time each year, and I am told that will probably occur in May of this year. They have set out to do a family plot landscaping, to have individuals actually come in for the individual plots and to sort of adopt those and to do some work on those. And in addition to that, they have a cemetery preservation plan that we discussed at that time, and there's a grant application for that is due in April for $20,000 for continuation of some work there at the cemetery. And lastly, I would like to say in the form of a report that I appreciate all the persons who have spoken here tonight regarding this issue of the mural. And I will hope that going forward, that council, either by committee or however, would give some consideration to showing our support for keeping that mural in place. Although I do appreciate certainly the statement that was made, and I understand it to be correct, that we have no legal recourse or ability to require that, but certainly I, as an individual on the council, support that, leaving that mural as is, but that's about as far as I can go as an individual.
Well, I just want to mention that I attended the Business Challenge. How many participants do we have? It was eight, and I was real encouraged. It was wonderful. I was also got to sit in as a judge, and so I enjoyed that. And I think it's real. It just helps a lot of people get started with a business, and I'm encouraged with all Tanya's work there too. So, thank you, Tanya.
Well, I want to say, well, Mr. Austin and Donna pretty much summed up two of the things that I was going to say, because we both were present at the incubator the morning of. The town actually presented the small business with two $2,500 prizes, and I thought that went really well. Again, thank you, Tanya, for that. Thank you to the incubator system as well too out there. They're doing a wonderful job. And as Mr. Austin said, we both attended the veterans meeting this week, and just one thing that Mr. Austin may have overlooked, there is a lady by the last name of Miss Matney who has come up with a song that she is going to present on Memorial Day. We got a chance to listen to that. Very fulfilling to veterans or anyone who has members of anyone who has served in the military. So I'm looking forward to Memorial Day, and hope we have a nice crowd that we have like here this evening that we have for Memorial Day up on top of the hill.
Just real quickly, and I won't take much time, I want to remind everybody of the Arbor Day celebration coming up, I believe,
sir.
on April the 6th.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be at Abingdon High School, and the students are going to be involved, which is always very exciting. I think there will be a tree dedication there, and as always, Kevin Sigmund does a great job
I think
promoting
that's
those
12 or
events.
1 o'clock.
12, yeah, that sounds about right,
12 or
12 or 1,
1
I'd have to
if I'm not
double check.
mistaken.
But anybody who has a chance certainly should visit that as well.
Okay, I wanted to also add, and this is along the lines of some of the things we've discussed tonight. We had our local Abingdon Arts Commission meeting a couple of weeks ago, and that is where the issue of the mural was first put on the agenda and discussed publicly. One of the things that came out of that discussion, which may not help with the current situation, but is something that we're working on going forward, is we had a very robust discussion about making an inventory of public art in the town of Abingdon and trying to chase down these loose ends and find out who owns the art and do we have an MOU with the property owners and whose job is it or whose responsibility is it to maintain the art. And if there aren't those things in place, might we put them in place so that if an issue like this should arise again, we don't have to, go through all of the turmoil of trying to figure out what is going to happen. We will have a plan in place. So Mr. Lilly today told us, I think, that he has already found in the double digits, 25?
24, I think.
24 pieces of public art just in his first initial search. So, so we are working on some other things to hopefully help prevent things like this from happening in the future. I also, another hat that I wear, I'm on the Virginia Commission for the Arts, and I went to Virginia Beach, and they have a very robust arts district. They have a facility that is much like our Arts Depot, where they have artists working, and they have this really huge mural program. They do 10 murals in 10 days, and they've done that for 5 years, so they have 50 murals, and that's out of our scope of abilities, of course, or, we wouldn't have it, we don't have enough space for that, but I talked to them a lot about how they handle public art and how they maintain it, and so I took some really interesting things from that conversation and some ways that we can let the public know, the possibility of a Google map. You can make a Google map, and this is too technical for me, but you can make a Google map that overlays your Google map, and it shows people public art. So anyway, we're working on some of those things in the background. Also, our Veterans Advisory Commission is continuing to have their breakfast the first Tuesday of every month at Food City, and anybody is welcome to attend. Anybody who's a veteran or supports veterans. I haven't gotten to attend yet because I've been out of town, but I'm looking forward to the next one. And they are doing a Field of Flags event for Memorial Day. So that's going to complement and add to what is happening at Veterans Memorial Park. Also, we are continuing to do Mondays with the Mayor. I am always looking to highlight local businesses, local events, local services, anything that that people feel that the public would benefit from knowing about. I'm always looking to add things to that list. So reach out to somebody at Town Hall or send me an email or give me a phone call, and we'll meet with you about that too. Anything else? Okay, so now we have appointments to boards and committees. Do we need to go into closed session to do that, or does the council already have a preference?
How many applicants?
Oh, that's what I was looking at. We have 2 applicants and 2 places to fill. So I will do whatever the council prefers. We can fill the 2 spots here, or if we need to discuss it in closed session, that is fine with me also. It is whatever is your preference. Do you have a preference?
I'd be okay with the 2 candidates that applied. I think historically, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a challenge to get people on the Board of Zoning Appeals, so if we've got 2 applicants, I'm okay with those 2 people personally.
They also don't need very much.
Okay, so I will entertain, we have 2 vacancies on the Board of Zoning Appeals. We have 2 applicants to fill those vacancies. We have Arthur Allen Bays, who lives at 25405 Wexmouth Drive in Abingdon. And then we have David Cody Johnson, who lives at 270 Bogey Drive in Abingdon. And if it is the pleasure of the council, I will entertain a motion to appoint these 2 citizens to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
And technically, the circuit court appoints them to the Board of Zoning
Oh.
Appeals, so we would be suggesting to the circuit court that the circuit court appoint them.
Of course. So I will entertain a motion to suggest.
Inviting the court, right? Ms.
To
Johnson?
invite the circuit court to appoint these 2 citizens to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'd make that
One
motion.
of these has a Marion address, does it matter? No. No, okay.
No, that's
Just
his,
checking. It's
yeah.
Marion address. Well, maybe that's the employment.
Oh, that's
I'm
the place of
sorry, that's
employment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, I'd make a motion to appoint Arthur Bays and David Johnson to those 2 vacancies.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion was made by Mr. Webb, seconded by Ms. Quetch. Do we have any discussion? If there is no discussion on this matter, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion?
Aye. Okay, I think that is all the business we have to discuss tonight. Thank you to all the people who attended and voiced your support. We are now adjourned.
Thank you.